Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Brief Dive podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. Joining me today is a first-generation graduate of Virginia Tech. His parents migrated from Ghana and now is currently working in IT as a business analyst. Introducing Senya.
Rhymes with Kenya.
And today we're going to dive into some topics that I think some of our audience would relate to. Many of you guys are in college. Many of you guys are freshmen. And I feel like Senya would provide great input. He's been through college before, during, and after, so he understands what it's like. So before we get started, right, we're going to do my nose is so itchy, oh my gosh. We're going to do a speed run of questions just so you can warm up, right?
I'm a runner now. I'm a runner, so I'm going to run through them.
So speed run is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear a word, right?
Okay.
All right, so this is going to be like Christian edition.
Talk to me.
Okay, first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word faith.
Jesus.
Temptation.
Lust.
Love.
Heart.
Trust.
Bond.
Bible.
Book.
Connection.
Wi-Fi.
Community.
People.
Desire.
Want.
Verse.
Book.
Spirit.
Holy.
Okay, you did pretty good. All right, speed run 2, Christmas edition. First thing that comes to mind when you hear the word holiday.
Santa Claus.
Presents.
Red.
Expensive.
Price tag.
Jingle.
Bells.
Mistletoe.
Kiss.
Jolly.
Rancher.
Snow.
White.
Ice.
Black.
Star.
Three Kings.
Song.
These three kings.
Okay, this or that. So this is like you pick one or the other. Okay. You can't do both.
So just one.
Just one.
What if I like both? All right, hit me.
All right, this or that Christmas edition. Why is my nose so itchy? All right. This or that. Expensive presents or homemade presents?
Expensive.
Snow or heat?
Heat.
Best with milk, Oreos or chocolate chip?
Best with milk. Oreos, every day. Oreos.
Best Christmas present, Xbox or PS4?
PS4.
Christmas food or Christmas presents?
Presents.
Okay. Hosting Christmas or visiting others?
Visiting the uncle that got money. Shout out to all my uncles with money.
That's
we
true.
Love y'all.
Apple pie or pumpkin pie?
Pumpkin, duh.
Yeah, you don't like apple pie, right?
I hate it.
Yeah. Mint or chocolate?
Chocolate.
Elf or Home Alone?
Home Alone. He was a bad little kid, but I was just like him when I was a kid.
Real tree or artificial tree?
Artificial. You do not want to have your whole house burnt down by having a real tree in your house. Don't do it, guys.
Don't they stink too?
Yeah, they stink too. And
Yeah.
they attract bugs. You might have roaches in there paying no rent in your house because of one of them trees. Don't do it.
Wait, bugs come inside because of the trees?
Yep, don't do it.
I didn't know that. Okay, this or that, just regular edition. Night in or night out?
Night in.
Physical strength or mental strength?
Mental.
Night showers or morning showers?
Morning showers.
Morning bird or night owl?
Morning owl.
Think or do?
Do.
Sweet or savory?
Savory.
Give up music or give up movies?
Movies. Get out.
Small talk or deep conversations?
Deep convo every day of the week.
Relationship or friendship?
Friendship. Okay,
you did good. This is the last this or that. This is workout edition.
Hit me, man.
We be exercising. We know a thing or two.
It's just sunlight.
Right. Cardio or weights?
Weights.
Calisthenics or weightlifting?
Calisthenics.
Bulk versus cut?
Cut.
Upper body or lower body?
Upper body, but do hit your legs. Don't skip legs.
That's true.
Don't do it. I'm watching you.
Water or sports drink?
Water.
Stretch before or stretch after?
Stretch after.
Chocolate or vanilla protein?
Vanilla.
Winter workout or summer workout?
Summer.
Beater or sweater?
Beater.
Lightweight more reps or heavyweight less reps?
Heavyweight less reps.
Okay, you did good. You feel warmed up?
Yes, sir. It's all to me.
See, this is good to just warm people up before conversations, before like we just, dive deep.
I was serious on that deep convo part. I hate small talk. Can't do it.
Why? Aren't you like open? Like,
yes, but small talk is essentially the catalyst to get into a deeper, more meaningful conversation. So
Heard them ladies is crazy. Wait, don't you need a small talk in order to get into a deep conversation?
it should be a means to an end. The end being deep convo.
Are you one of those people that can get deep with like random people, like a janitor or something?
People used to be freaked out in college when I would just start talking to them about the purpose of life and what we're even doing here. And I would look at them like, don't you want to know about these things, or am I just crazy? So, but it was part of my journey though, so I'm not even gonna discount it.
Yeah, I'm like that too. There is one question that I was coming up with pre-production, and I want Manasseh, you two, Christian, I want you guys to answer this too. Okay. This is deep. Would you rather hear all the good things that were said behind your back, or hear all the bad things said behind your back? And why?
That's easy. Do you guys believe in positive reinforcement?
Yeah.
I personally feel like I do a much better job when people are pouring into me and telling me all the things I did good, because it motivates me to keep on doing good and keep on being that light in the world. Me personally, I grew up with African parents. So a lot of times when you're doing something wrong, you'll know it and you'll feel it. You feel it on your backside. You feel it on your backside. And I always remembered I used to want to rebel after doing that. But whenever they said, you're doing great, the rare times it happened, I used to want to go harder for them because I knew I was making them happy. And that's how I would want to do it. So I would love to hear all the good things. Hey, give people their flowers because you don't know when they can leave. Real talk.
Yeah, that was actually kind of... That was actually kind of nice. What do you guys think? Opposite?
Yeah.
Dang.
Like the way I'm built, like especially because of where I'm from back home, we all like I was raised up in a situation where we always roast each other, like we always make fun of each other, stuff like that. So for me, when I have people like saying stuff about me, it always gives me that extra boost to prove them wrong. So it's like it depends on the type of person. Like some people are just built like when people say good stuff about them, that it makes them complacent. And then there's some people that need people to say something bad about them to like make them like prove them wrong, and then put in more effort just to show that, because it's like that motivation, like that type of rage and revenge type of thing comes into play. So it just depends on the type of way you get motivated.
Yeah.
Different strokes, different folks.
So what about you, Boss?
Yeah. Okay.
Pause. No pause.
That's cringy, but like I'm a little bit of both.
You gotta pick one, dude. Nah, I'm joking. I'm joking. I can't see you.
If I'm doing something stupid, just tell me. If you don't need to like sugarcoat it for me. I just sometimes, because for me sometimes I don't recognize what I'm doing until somebody else tells me. So
good point.
Let's say I have a good intention, right? I won't know that it's hurting everybody else or hurting me until someone notices it, or someone tells me. But I mean, yes, I definitely benefit from those good conversations, and I definitely I'm never complacent when people even give me good instruction, but I benefit a lot more when you're telling me things I need to improve on rather than tell me that I'm good where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's real.
Okay.
That's real.
For me, I think it's the same thing. Just hear bad things behind people. I mean, hear bad things behind my back, because that kind of helps you stay away from the people that you don't want to be with.
Wait, so what I'm hearing is that you guys, you don't want peace, you want problems always. That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like.
No, because problems, when you hear people giving you about your problems, you have more room to grow.
Amen.
Because some people can see different things about you cannot see about yourself.
With God is to get closer to Him. If God is only telling us what we're doing good at the moment, we're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm good, so I don't need to do more.
Complacency.
Yeah. That's the thing is, we're natural sinners, so we're gonna do stuff wrong. We're gonna do things that we think are good for ourselves, but it's not gonna benefit other people.
Is that a chicken wing in your hand?
Yeah, it's a chicken wing.
Oh, okay.
This man, Christian the Christian, out here preaching with a chicken wing in his right hand. Shout out to my preacher.
It's so important to recognize, while it's good to know the good things in life, it's also good to know what you need to improve on.
That's facts. I was just gonna say, don't go out with your breath stinking. Don't do it. And if you have your friend, his breath stinks, tell him.
So, you wanted me to ask you this: milk or cereal first?
This is a loaded question.
Okay.
Now, when I say this, please, this is not for the people that get easily offended. What I'm about to say, please. So if you're watching this and you get easily offended off of this question, Now's your time. So milk or cereal first? Well, let me just answer it like this. You take your bowl, right? And I'm going to ask you, I'm going to flip the question. What do you put in the bowl once you take the bowl?
Cereal.
You put the cereal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're wrong. And that's okay.
Okay, that's crazy.
That's okay, and I'm going to tell you
crazy.
why. So first, you take your bowl. Follow me, guys. Take your bowl. You take your milk from your fridge. If you're lactose intolerant like me, you're taking your soy milk, your almond milk, whatever. Your 2%, your skim, all of that. You pour that into the bowl. Milk first, but you don't stop there. You don't just take the cereal. No. Where do you put the bowl once you put the milk in it?
Where do I put the bowl?
Where do you put it? Where do you put the bowl once you put the milk in it?
I keep the bowl where it is.
You keep the bowl where it is?
Yeah.
That's wrong as well. You take your bowl, you put it into your microwave.
Oh, yeah, you microwave that.
You put it into the microwave for 1 minute and 30 seconds on 1,000 watts, 1,000-watt microwaves only.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
You put it into your microwave, 1 minute 30. It's going around. Take it out of your microwave. Now where do you put the bowl?
Back where it was?
No. You put it on the dining room table. And you walk to the kitchen and you don't get the cereal first. You get your protein powder. So all my lifters out here, this is a hack. You go and you get your protein powder, cookies and cream Oreo edition. You take your protein powder, you put it on the table. You go back to your kitchen pantry, you get almonds, you get you some cut up dates, and you get you some cinnamon. You take that, put it on the dining room table.
Wait, you're actually not joking with the dates and everything?
I'm not lying. Does it look like I'm so serious?
Wow.
So after you take all of that, you go back to your kitchen pantry and you take your assortment of cereal. I'm talking about Honey Bunches. I'm talking about your Frosted Flakes. I'm even talking about your Booty-O's if you eat that.
What are Booty-O's?
They're only one way to find out. But there are by WWE wrestlers. So look up Booty-O's when you get the chance. Then you're going to go back to the table and you're going to pour in your cereals progressively. The cereal is now lukewarm like a lot of Christians. So what you're going to do is you're going to pour cereal progressively. So you're going to take your Frosted Flakes, your Honey Bunches, you're going to pour it in just a little. Then you take your almonds, your cut up dates, you pour some in just a little. Then lastly, you hit it with your protein powder. You sprinkle over the top. Then you sprinkle your cinnamon over the top. And then you take a bite. This is what I like to call gourmet cereal. The method is called, it's not cereal, it's Senya.
I'm at a loss for words.
I'm going to hit you guys with a disclaimer. The Brief Dive podcast does not condone this recipe. If anything...
Yes. Thank you for saying that. We do not condone this. Do not try this. If this leaves you in the bathroom for 2 hours, this is not my fault.
Listen, if you want to have gourmet cereal,
no, don't listen.
and you want to have a holistic, well-balanced breakfast, do these.
Duties is crazy. All right. We should go to topic because,
talk to me.
Okay. So, graduate of VTEC.
Hokies.
Right? So, a lot of the people... Wait, what's the VTEC symbol?
So, if you throw up VT like this, you'll be seeing your VT. So, you want to throw up TV.
Oh, I mean, I don't go to that school because I don't rep that. That's not me.
Oh, then you the
That's
ops.
the other side.
That's
I'm
tough.
the ops,
Okay.
Yeah. Nah, that's not me.
You know what? That's why you're back there.
Yeah, stay there.
Stay back there, sir.
Okay, so a lot of people watching, they're freshmen. Some of them are freshmen.
Okay, I remember that.
So I guess the main topic is, what is one thing you wish you did differently freshman year?
You know, my freshman year was actually quite different than most people's freshman year. I was in community college around the area which I grew up in, and I remember coming out of high school, I didn't really have prospects. This was really my last chance at everything, to be honest. I had no prospects, barely had any friends. Was quite depressed. I know I didn't want to make it depressing, but hey,
No,
it's depressing now. So
be real, yeah.
So going into freshman year, I didn't want to socialize. And going to Northern Virginia Community College, I didn't want to put myself out there. And I realized in just looking around and people that was my same age group in different colleges and different positions in life, that a lot of them got there solely by who they knew. And I would look at myself because of the fact I had so much anxiety, I had so much depression that would stop me from putting myself out there and going to meet new people. I would look at myself as this person that was introverted. I would look at myself as this person who can't make friends even if he tried. So I would essentially put myself down, and it caused me to be regretful because I was thinking about all the friendships I could have made, all the different connections that could have led me into and opened different doors in my life. Yeah. But at that time, I was so closed off. So my biggest regret my freshman year was essentially just not putting myself out there more. There's a lot of value that comes when you're able to even just place yourself in front of people and just talk. It doesn't have to be this grandiose sales pitch, but just placing yourself in front of new people that you may have never seen before and just building rapport. And not everybody's going to respond to you with the same type of energy. There may be some negative reactions. There may be some different people that respond to it differently. But the act of just putting yourself out there builds a muscle. And that muscle is your social muscle. And at that point, I had no gains. My social gains was zero. I was skinny. But I realized through practice and through actually facing my fears and meeting those people and making a proactive effort to go out and meet new people, over that, I was able to build a network. And that's what allowed me to get to where I am now. It was really that network of people.
What was the catalyst that made you have this point of view?
Honestly, the catalyst was when I left community college and I really got thrust into a huge group of people. And I started to realize, like, I'm in a different environment. I don't know anybody. I need to start putting myself out there. And the main thing that was able to help me put myself out there is finding something that rhymed with my name. So my name is Senya, rhymes with Kenya. And that would essentially be my catchphrase no matter where I went. And I would just put myself in front of people. I would say that. They were like, oh, wow. Because Senya is not a common name at all. You don't know one Senya in your life. Let's keep it aside. I'm the only one.
I don't.
So I would use that. And then I realized I actually wasn't an introvert. As much as I thought I was in high school and the early years of college, I realized it was just me defeating myself and putting myself down.
So you told yourself that you were an introvert.
I told myself it was a lie.
You gave yourself a label that wasn't you.
Exactly.
Okay.
So when I started to do it more, when I started to put myself in front of people more, I realized, yo, this is actually fun. And this is very rewarding because now I can connect with people. Now I can get different perspectives on life. Now I can see how my worldview was limited just on my own perspective. But now I have all these people around me and I hear their life story and it's inspiring. So if you are somebody riddled with social anxiety, I understand. I think it really is an act of courage and a step of faith, just going out and putting yourself in front of people, but it's well worth it. Trust me, it's well worth it.
Back when you were saying, like, when you first get to college, right? There's a bunch of cliques. People already know their people. And especially you coming fresh out of community college, right? That people already know each other. Like, not only just cliques, but there's groups, hard groups that people just grown up with each other for a good 2 years, a solid 2 years.
That's facts.
And to build that social muscle, how can people build that social muscle right when they're like getting into like meeting the cliques? How can they get into the cliques when the cliques are already solidified, if that's what I'm trying to say?
That's a very, 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 very good question. Especially because when I transferred into a four-year university, shout out to all my Hokies, I realized I was at a disadvantage because 2 years is a long time. You can meet your wife in 2 years.
You could.
You can meet your lifelong buddies in those 2 years. So essentially you're coming to a place where people already have their people and you're the outsider. But again, I realized that a lot of these cliques, or from the outside looking in, they look to be cliques. But a lot of them, if you're able to put yourself out there, you will realize that they're very welcoming to people coming in to make people feel at home. You know, it's funny. One of the first clubs I joined when I transferred into Virginia Tech was Filipino American Student Association.
I did not see that coming.
You did not, right?
No.
And you would think me as a black male would not fit in, and they probably would deny me because they probably had their own cliques amongst themselves. Mm-hmm. But I realized in pushing past that fear of, okay, what if they don't like me? What if they push me away because I'm this, because I'm that? I realized in me just being in that environment and building rapport with them, that outside looking in clique, it was almost imaginary. It was an illusion that I had made in my own mind. So with the whole clique environment, and if there's a group you want to join, just build rapport with them individually first to get to know the people for who they are. And you will see that this clique that you have in your mind, okay, this group over here, they probably don't like outsiders. Usually that's a lie. And again, it all starts with being proactive, putting yourself out there, putting yourself in front of people, and not caring what the outcome is, but building that muscle in order to keep on doing that.
So, like, let's say someone's in a situation. There's a group of friends down there that you know, they're scared to talk to. What could they do to get out their comfort zone and just go straight to it? Just speak to them. Build that battery that you were saying.
3-second rule. The 3-second rule. It's okay to be anxious. It's a normal part of life, especially when you're going to do something you've never done. But you got to understand it's not going to kill you. That anxiety is not going to, so with anxiety, we evolved from, you know, having to scavenge for our food and hunt for our food. And we'd have anxieties about, okay, where are we getting our next meal? Or is this lion going to kill me?
Yeah.
But in the society that we live in right now, and you going to talk to a group of people, you're not going to die. And I know that sounds like duh, but really think about the fact that you're not going to die, regardless of the outcome. If you go out, they say, yo, we don't want to talk to you. Okay, it is what it is. And then you go up and they do want to talk to you and they engage with you and they see, okay, this is actually a cool person. You just gained so much. So it's really having a 3-second rule. You have to make this commitment to yourself that, yo, I see a group of people that may look cool, I can maybe vibe with, I'm going to just go. And when I go there, usually I like to ask people, once I build rapport, once I got their name, I like to ask people, what's the tip of the day? And I ask people this because it puts them in a position in which they can give me advice. And who doesn't like being the big bro, being the uncle figure?
That's nice. That's pretty smart.
It's validating them. It's showing them that, yo, your input matters and your input is impactful for me. And when people feel value like that, they're more likely to open up to you. They're more likely to invite you in because they feel valued. So go ahead, use that tip of the day. Very effective.
That reminds me of this quote I read from a book. It was like, you overestimate the situation, but you underestimate your ability to cope with it. So we put this thing in our heads where like it's like it's like this, but when we actually put ourselves in that position, it's not as bad as, you know, we're just like, oh wait, I'm still living, I'm still breathing.
Exactly.
One thing I learned is like a majority of the situations that I find most anxious, behind it is something even bigger.
Yeah.
So what do you have to say about that? Like putting yourself in that situation.
So a lot of us, for instance, if it's talking to people, a lot of us have went through rejection in life. If that's from the other sex, if that's from people in general. And with you being scarred by rejection, a lot of times you don't want to take that leap of faith. You don't want to take that because that's the underlying thing, the rejection behind it.
Yeah.
The whole reason why you don't go to the girl that you want to talk to is because you're scared of rejection. It's not necessarily because she's going to eat you alive, or because she's a scary monster that's under the bed. It's because of the burn that you've had from rejection. But you got to understand that doors close so that others can be open. So rejection is really a way in which we can progress as people. Because if a door closes, but an even better door opens because that door closes, if you look at it from 1,000-yard perspective, you'll realize, okay, it was good I got rejected there so I can get this opportunity. For instance, let's say out of college, there was a job offering me $50,000 and I'm like, yo, I've never seen this much money in my life. This is great. I'm going to take it. Not knowing that if I had waited just 2 weeks later, there was a job offering 75 right around the corner. But what if, let's say the job that I interviewed for at the 50,000 rejects me. And because of that rejection, I'm still in the job market, and the job that's offering 75 scoops me up. Would you then say that rejection was bad?
No.
No. So rejection is essentially God closing doors so that others can open that are even better for you. So don't be scared of it.
Wow. That's actually like, you know what that needs? That was pretty good. Okay, so I know you went to community college.
Mm-hmm.
I feel this too, right? So do you feel that sort of comparison thinking where you see all your other friends in universities, you slide up, you see the stories on social media, people going to parties, people doing crazy things, and like you're in community college. And I'm not, I feel the same way too. So I was wondering, like, have you felt that? And if so, like, what have you done with that thought?
It's the saying that comparison is a thief of all joy. And let me tell you, back when I was in community college, I think it was around 2017 to 2019 area, used to be a big user of Snapchat. So I had all my friends from high school on Snapchat, and a lot of them, they went to four-year universities. And I used to just watch people's stories and see them at functions and see them in different places, and they would be traveling. Some people would be traveling the world. Some people would just be having fun at their school. And I used to think, like, what about me? I used to think, I used to feel stuck. I used to feel like, wow, I'm really just here, still at home, still at my own house, still in the area with the same people from the block. And I felt left out. I felt like I wasn't where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I really did feel like I was in some type of purgatory sometimes.
Can you explain that word for those who don't understand, including
Purgatory
me?
is a phrase that's used to describe almost the in-between. Usually is used to describe the in-between between heaven and hell. But in this case, we're talking about like almost like a waiting room where nothing is really going on. You don't know where you're going next. And it's like it feels like you're wasting time, to be honest. And I felt trapped in this purgatory type state where even though I was doing this because at the time I didn't have prospects, but also in the name of saving money, I felt like there was so much life I was missing out of, which was a fallacy looking back at it. But at the time, that's how I felt. Now, it wasn't until afterwards I seen how impactful and how beneficial this period of my life was, and how I needed to go through it in order to step into the person that God called me to be later in life. So for anybody that's going through that period, and you may be in community college, you may be taking a gap year, you may not be going to school at all.
Trade school too.
Trade school. Understand that there's a season for everything, and that everybody's walk is not the same. What I do with my life is not going to be the same as Philemon. And that's okay. But we have to trust the process and have faith. A lot of times we want to jump the gun because we see other people doing other things, and we want to go off the path that we're going in order to try to live like them. But we're not dumb. We all have our specific walk in life. So we need to make sure that if we committed to this, we're committed to it. And you'll see the dividends pay off in the long run. But when you're going through it, it can feel painful. But doesn't it need to be painful in order to grow? You don't just go to the gym and just sit there. You go through pain. You lift weight. You rip the muscle in order to grow stronger.
Muscle tears, yeah.
Muscle tear, micro tears in your muscle in order to grow stronger and get bigger. It's the same thing with this life. If you're avoiding pain, or if you're feeling like, oh, I want to leave this path to go to another path because it seems easier, you're missing the point. It's about the growth in your character and your humility, who you are, so that not only can you grow, but you can help other people grow.
It's like it helps you appreciate where you are, and like it's that long-term thinking too, because when you're in a situation that you don't like and you're just like, why me? Why this? Why is this happening right now? I see this happen in this dude's life. See this happen in her life. Why me? Why am I? Why is this not happening? And we don't think even months ahead. We just think about right now.
Exactly.
I feel lonely right now. I want to go party right now, but I'm here. So a lot of people struggling with that comparison thing. Do you recommend them to, because for what helps me, I don't check stories. I don't, I try not to get involved with, scrolling so much.
Mm-hmm.
So what, because I know you're off social media.
Yeah, I'm off it.
So, which is great. So what do you recommend for people who like is not checking stuff? Is that a good idea?
If you have a problem with obsessively scrolling, checking other people's statuses,
Gets on my phone like while you said that. Sorry.
No, you're good. If you genuinely have a problem in terms of seeing people's stories and feeling like you're missing out, what I personally did, I got to a point where I realized it just was not healthy. And I just deleted my Snapchat. I deleted my Instagram. And I would tell myself, this thing that is bringing me instant gratification is not giving me joy. And I realized by me over consuming not only content, but other people's stories, I just kept falling deeper and deeper into this sense of self-pity. Like, oh, look at them. They're doing all this. And what are you doing? And I realized how detrimental that was to everything I was trying to do at that time. Because now I can't even show it to class with a sense of confidence, because my confidence is diminished because I'm looking at everybody and I'm comparing myself to them.
Yeah.
So I just straight up deleted Snapchat. And I realized as soon as I did that, I felt freed, because now I'm not living life trying to be like this person or like this person. I'm trying to be the best Senya I can be. But obviously that's not going to be everybody's path. Some of us need to take a break from social media. Just take a week, just off of social media. Just focus on being in the moment with the people around you. Focus on what you should be doing as your person and not comparing yourself to another person to help you get back on track. Pray. A lot of times we have this short-term thinking because we don't see the bigger picture. Prayer helps you see the bigger picture and understand that even though you're going through this pain in a moment, it's not going to be forever.
I feel that. I think back to the community college part, right? So transferring to Virginia Tech, did that change you? Because you already had that mindset a little bit of like being in community college, sort of transferring into Virginia Tech. Did that change you mentally? I remember we were at the Friendsgiving.
Yeah.
You had Virginia VTEC friends
VT
over. Yep. So transferring over to VTEC, did that change you mentally, physically, like spiritually? How was that transfer?
Man, there's a lot. That's a deep question. Because honestly, when I transferred into Virginia Tech, my whole everything changed.
Really?
Everything changed.
Wow.
Actually, the story of how I even became a Christian originates when I transferred to Virginia Tech.
Wow.
The story of how I started to realize I wasn't an introvert originated when I got to Virginia Tech. So essentially, after I finished Nova, I had around a 3.6, and the Black Caucus at Virginia Tech reached out to me via mail, and they said, we'll be pleased to have you here. And that was my first choice university coming out of community college. So I was psyched. I'm like, this is perfect. Nice. I'm going to go to VT. I'm going to be a Hokie. I'm gonna have turkey and all that stuff, and it's going to be cool. And, But I didn't realize how, as a transfer student, I didn't realize the certain pitfalls and the disadvantages I had. So I went, I applied, I got in. Before I move into campus, I realized I don't have an apartment yet because I'm a transfer.
Oh, yeah.
So when I'm done with community college, now I'm thinking, okay, I got to get an apartment. So around August, I'm getting apartments. I locked down this one apartment, but the person who lives there ends up telling me I can't live there because he gave that room to another person at the last minute. So in August, when school's about to start, I'm without an apartment, and I don't know where I'm gonna stay. Then I remember somebody on the VT off-campus housing website reaches out to me literally the last week before school's about to start. He says,
Wow.
"We have a room for you here." His name was Chinadu. Shout out to Chinadu if you're watching this.
Shout
Love
out.
you, bro. He reaches out to me. He says, we have a room for you here in our house. It's in the middle of nowhere, but we have a room. It was literally in the middle of nowhere. Like, there was deers in our backyard, cornfields right across. Real talk. I felt
like scary movie type.
tight.
Okay.
I felt in danger. In Virginia.
Wow.
Southwest Virginia. I felt like, dang, as a black person out here, I'm going to need that protect. Anyways. So I go, I get a room. I meet all the bros in the house, great people. And I remember the first week, which is our welcome week. Most colleges have welcome week.
Yeah.
There was an event that they brought me to. It was a Chi Alpha cookout. Now, if you guys know about Chi Alpha, it's a Christian ministry on campus. And that was the first time I went and I saw young people going and pursuing after Jesus. And at that time, I was like, this is very weird. I've never seen young people get serious about God. I thought that was only something 40 and up people do. And that kind of, it planted a seed. At the same time, I realized that because I was in a different environment, Blacksburg, Virginia, I could reinvent myself. This is very important. All my life, I have been living in one area my whole life. I moved for college now. Now I'm in a new city, amongst new people. I can be who I want to be. So I remember I said, I'm going to introduce myself as Senya, Kenya, and I'm going to just force myself to be more social. And wow, that took me such a long way. I would go there, and because I didn't have the restrictions of my past identity holding me down, I was able to reinvent myself and really show the best of me to people and go out and just be a ball of energy, a ball of positive vibes. And I realized in doing that, all these self-limiting thoughts that I used to tell myself back when I was in high school and community college, they weren't true. They weren't true. So that new environment really enabled me to be somebody who I was proud of, somebody that could pour into other people and not be scared of rejection. But going forward, when I got into Virginia Tech, there was a lot of activities. That's the thing I loved about it. There was welcome week. There was concerts on the drill field. If you guys know about the drill field, it's a big field in the middle of campus. There was club events, Gobble Fest, where all the clubs set up. And it was liberating because there was all these different options. And it wasn't like high school when you have your cliques or your cool kids or this group, that group, and you guys see each other for the 4 years. It was literally like you can join this group. Again, I joined Filipino American Student Association. And honestly, I felt empowered in doing that because it's like I can join that group, but I could also join the Black Student Alliance. I could also join the cooking class group. I could also join the language learning group. And it's so liberating. So in coming to college, I realized how much freedom I had, and especially away from my parents, how things like responsibilities started to come up. Keeping my house, laundry, cooking for myself, cooking African food for myself, which is a whole ordeal in itself.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it takes 3 years to cook one dish, but we're not talking about that. Transportation, truly socializing, making friends intentionally. It was very much needed for me, and I really do feel like that was the turning point in my whole adult life. That right there, just being in a new environment, getting to reinvent myself.
Wow. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
So like, because that transition phase, right?
mm-hmm.
I feel like the only way through is, praying.
Amen.
And staying connected with God. Because like, if you're in a very bouncy situation, you don't know what's going on. So look up and ask for guidance. See if this is for me, not to me. So being a Christian in college,
talk to me.
What is that like? Because there's so many things going on, being thrown at people's heads, being thrown in people's ears. And I was even told by this at my sister too. She was like, there's energy at different colleges that you can get. It's either like a gray, low energy. You don't feel the spirit, I guess, but just there isn't liveliness. So how is it like being a Christian in college?
That's a great question. I'm glad that you asked that. Being a Christian in college, now, if you follow Christ, you're taught to pick up your cross and not be conformed to this world. And that is the most true in college, because in college, you're exposed to a lot of things, like a lot of wild parties. If you're a dude, a lot of females, a lot of temptation, just a lot of stuff going on all at once. And you as a young individual, you want to try it all. Like, yo, I'm trying to do this, and all. But we have to understand, as followers of Jesus, and if we're truly walking in faith, we have to understand there's a lot of pitfalls in college. And I'm talking to all the believers that are watching. I like to equate a lot of the things that you will experience in college to an oasis, right? You're walking through a desert, you don't have water. You see an oasis in the distance and you think the grass is green on that side. So you go and maybe, let's say you party, because even though I got exposed to Jesus in college, I didn't really start living for Jesus until my last semester, really.
Of senior year?
Yeah, of senior year.
Wow, okay.
So I would still go to functions. I would still drink. I would still, do things that weren't pleasing to God. Okay. And I would realize in doing all those things, there was a void. I would think in me, risen up shorties, it would feel something within me, but I would always just want more. And this is talking about somebody who had confidence issues in high school and early years college. So now I'm getting attention from females, and now it's making me feel good inside, but I just realized it never fulfills me. So I need more. Going to parties, I realized, okay, that function was fun. Where's the next function? It was always this endless void, and it felt like I was just throwing stones down this hole it was never getting filled. So if you're going to college, realize that if you're trying to find fulfillment in these things, it's not going to fulfill you. It's just not. Because you're always going to wonder what's next. Who's next? Why? And then you're going to start asking yourself questions like, why am I even doing this? You might even have a moment of realization whilst you're in the act. And we're just like, yo, is this even me? And I realized that in my college career that if you don't have these questions, honestly, you need to rethink, because these are the type of questions that really brought me closer towards God, because I realized that there's these things that only last for the moment, but this thing that lasts for eternity. And there's this thing that brings peace to my soul, peace to my heart.
You can feel it too.
You can feel it. It's like this feeling of everything's going to be all right. That's the best way to describe the feeling.
Everything's going to be all right. Yeah.
Is this, and that's called the love of God, that everything's going to be all right feeling. And you can't find that love in the bottom of a vodka bottle. You can't find that love just going out having sex with girls or boys, because all that stuff, you will never be truly satisfied by it. But in the God that we serve, that's where I find my satisfaction and true joy. And joy is never ending. Happiness is a fleeting emotion, but joy is constant. So I'm glad that me going to Virginia Tech, I was able to be introduced to Chi Alpha and to be introduced to young Christians that are going after Jesus. And that made an impression on me. So even whilst I was still hitting functions, still raising up shorties, going back to their crib, I would still have the influence and have young men and women of Christ pouring into me. And that love eventually transformed me.
Wow. So like the connection aspect, like, because obviously there are certain Christians in college.
Yeah.
It's hard to, and not even just Christians, just people that think the same way you do. That people that want the best for themselves, right? How can you find those kinds of people in college?
Well, I mean, it all starts with what I previously mentioned. You have to put yourself out there. If you don't knock, it won't be open onto you. If you don't ask, you won't receive. So really being able to put yourself out there is how you're going to find those people that are really devoted or really going after this and are serious. But also pertaining to the Christian walk specifically, join ministries on campus. Join different ones, see which ones you like. Really be attentive in the different activities that they have, and really just look at people's character, not necessarily what they look like, but peep their character, peep how they move in different high pressure situations. Get close to them. One thing that really helped me get close to God and essentially become a Christian was being invited to these things called life groups. And my roommate Chinadu, the one who even gave me that room, and this is why this is so crazy how this all unfolded. The second week into college, he invites me to his life group. I'm like, yo, what even is a life group? He was like, bro, just come. It's at my friend's apartment. Just come find out. He didn't even tell me nothing. So I go to the apartment. It's like 7 to 10 of us in this dude Brian Gore's apartment. And we're just in there and they're talking about the Bible. And at this point, I'm just like, I'm not trying to hear this, bro. Heard this all my life. This is not even a real book. This is a fantasy. Y'all talking about, that was my disposition at the point. So, but in going there, I've experienced the love that they showed me. Even me being somebody that was very critical of what they believed. Even me being somebody that was very antagonistic. They showed me so much love that I realized that there was something there. There was something there. And I really do credit Chinadu a lot because, again, this was the person that even reached out to me at first to give me a place to stay. And now he's putting me in, even though at the time I thought like, I don't want to be in this situation. I don't want to be amongst these people. Over time, it started to really have a huge impact on me. And the first thing I would say, if you're looking for those good group of people, you have to put yourself out there, see who's not for you, who is for you, you know. But a lot of times, sometimes I'm not going to lie, sometimes they do find you. But in order to really be proactive, you have to take that first step.
Wow. So like, let's say you're in a position where you get thrown, I guess a temptation, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's just like, hey, let's go do this. Let's try this. And you're close with those friends, but you don't want to live that lifestyle. So what can you say for people who don't want to lose those friends, but they still want to live the way that they want to live? Live the way that they want to live. Like if they want to live a life where they don't, they want to stay away from partying, and their very close friend enjoys partying, what can they do with that inner conflict, I guess?
First of all, you have to make an active decision and not go back on that decision. If you feel like this partying thing is not for me, first of all, you have to make a resolute pre-decision in your heart that I'm not partying anymore. And I only say this first because you're going to be tempted. And if your resolve isn't strong, you're going to waver. It's like, oh, just one function won't hurt. Before you know, you're going down this slippery slope. So first things first, you have to make that decision beforehand. Second, with friends that are still doing that, you have to be the light. You have to be that example to them. So, and you're not just not partying, you're also building yourself. You're building your faith. And that will show, you'll know them by their fruits. Let's say instead of partying at night, you're hosting game nights at your place and you're having good sessions of, let's say, Uno. And instead of being peer pressured by your friend that's still partying, you invite him. It's like, yo, just come over to mine. We can have a game night, or maybe you have a cook session. One thing I really like to do with my friends is have cook sessions at my house. So I was like, yo, instead of doing that, how about we just come to my house and we cook? And in doing that, you start to show them there's an alternative that's more wholesome, that's better for bringing us together. And it helps you bring those people that are in that type of lifestyle into more of a place of genuineness with you, so you can grow your relationship at the same time not falling into peer pressure. But that all starts with your resolve. If you told yourself, I'm not going to do this, let's say for instance, a lot of dudes is like, I'm not going to have sex with these females even though I'm tempted. You have to make that decision before, because when the 5'5" brown skin with curly hair comes and is interested in you, and you going through it, you fighting demons, trying to, I'm trying to raise shawty up and take her back to the crib. That's when your resolve kicks in, and you say, you know what, I made a decision. I'm not gonna do this, and I'm gonna save myself, and I'm not gonna fall into something that, again, I already made the decision not to do.
Yeah.
So, but that's a real application, because that has happened, and then it's like, you don't want to be in that position where you're battling with yourself, where it's like good versus evil, and then you end up slipping up.
Isn't it always like a constant battle between yourself and your old self?
It is. And I would say it like this, because when I got to college, I started to get a lot more attention from the opposite sex for the first time in my life. And I felt like I needed to prove something to my old self.
Your old self.
Yeah, because again, old self. Say again? I don't even know, to be honest.
Why did you get the attention?
Well, I will say I was more outgoing, and I learned how to dress, and I started hitting the gym, and I started to see dividends in the gym. So by doing so, I started to get a lot more female attention, and it was to the point where I wanted to prove to my old self, like, yo, I'm not a lame. I can bag shorties. And I would literally make it a sport, where it's like, I wouldn't even do anything with some of the females. I would just bag them just to prove to my old self, like, yo,
yeah,
I can bag them. I'm him. I got game. I got sauce. When before I was dusty.
Studying the Rizology book?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Anyways. But
don't buy it.
But that was all smoke and mirrors. It was literally vanity.
Yeah.
Because I realized at the end of the day, I wasn't satisfied by doing that. And I was breaking girls' hearts. I would literally just play them like a sport. I wouldn't even take some of them home. I would just like, yo, I'm trying to get this notch on my belt, just to prove that I can rizz up, because I'm coming from a place of insecurity, where back in the day I was lame. That, again, all of this was a lie. It was an illusion. But I really found joy in the Lord, and really understanding how God has been with me through it all, and how all these things that I thought could satisfy me really didn't.
Back to what you were saying about you improved yourself, right? And like improving yourself attracts people who are like-minded like you.
That's right.
So when you find yourself in a position where you're growing and you're improving, you're getting better, old things start to shed away.
Yeah.
Old people, old habits, old objects, old things, anything. They just start to shed away naturally. So you're improving when they shed away easily.
Yeah.
And that's where that friend aspect comes in, where if you make that decision where you're like, I want to live this life, you then improve, and it just attracts new people. So what do you think about just building yourself and then further on like attracting new people, if that makes sense?
I believe in the wilderness season. So I'll say what I mean by that. Sometimes you just got to get into your quote unquote hyperbolic time chamber, for all my DBZ fans out there, and just grind, just work on yourself.
Wait, can you explain that?
So essentially, the hyperbolic time chamber in Dragon Ball Z was this place where Goku and his friends used to go to train. And essentially there was a time loop in this place. So 1 minute was like 2 years in the hyperbolic time chamber.
Wow.
So they would go there, they would grind, and they would come out a stronger individual. But when they were in there, it was isolation. There's no socializing. It's just straight grinding. And sometimes we need to go into our grind season where it's just us getting closer to God, working on our business, working on our majors, really getting more well-versed in whatever we're doing to improve ourselves. So when we come out, instead of being drawn to the light like moths, we can be the light that draws moths to us.
Because I like that.
And it's real, because I realized in college, even though I was being social, I had a lot of people coming to me because I was working on myself. And people would just come to me and gravitate toward me for the first time in my life. And I'm wondering, why is that? And I realized in looking back and in retrospect that I had been working on myself up until then. I have been working on myself in terms of my social badges. If you guys play 2K, been grinding my social badges, been grinding my gym badges, be getting better at talking, being somebody that's more well-rounded, and people will just naturally gravitate towards you. So, but I say all that to say that it is going to be a time where if you want to become a better person, you have to grind. You have to put your head down, and there's going to be a time where you do feel lonely, but that's part of the process. I digress.
Wow. That was a lot of good info. Yeah.
Don't be scared of loneliness. Real talk. Well, don't be scared to be alone. Loneliness is a completely different thing. Don't be scared to be alone. That's where you find the best dividends.
Oh, so people think I'm lonely, and then there's I'm alone.
Yeah, there's two different things.
We get those two mixed up.
Yeah, because like if you're lonely, it's like, dang, I wish I had this person or these people around me. When you're alone, you can still have like friends, but not feel lonely.
Yeah.
Like I could be doing me, but not feel lonely. It's a dichotomy.
I love that feeling where you're just by yourself and you're not alone. I mean, you're not lonely, but you're alone.
Facts. I mean, you're never really alone with God.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're going through a season alone, let's say you move to a new city, let's say you haven't made any friends there, you're trying to do you're never alone. God got you, man. Shout out to God.
Shout out to God. Okay, so I'm gonna change back to college.
Okay.
Right. So freshmen going after senior year, they're always worried, fresh into college. Because I know a lot of freshmen, like going into college, they think about what they're gonna do senior year.
Facts.
They think about what they're gonna do right after senior year, and that affects what they're doing freshman year. So a lot of those thoughts wrap around financial issues or living alone, like what we were saying earlier.
Yes.
So I guess your take, what is your financial advice you could give to people who are even freshmen now or seniors now to give them peace in mind so they don't worry about all this stuff while they're taking their classes, I guess?
You must create a budget. You must create a budget. The main pitfall, especially for first generation graduates, or people even in the Black community, is that once you get out of college and you start making all this money, you just start spending it the same way you made it. And then you realize at the end of the month, you have no discretionary income. You have no money left over. That's because of a lack of discipline and a lack of organization. And a budget essentially attacks this problem head on. even if you're making $100 a month, there's a way you can budget that out. I remember I got a TA job in college when I transferred to tech, and I would literally get $200 a month. And sometimes before I started budgeting, I would get the 200 and it's gone, and now I have no money. But I realized even with that small amount, I can still be proactive about budgeting. And I've seen how much dividends that's paid me going into the real world, getting big boy money. And I realized me setting up that budget in college set me up for dealing with more money in the real world.
Yeah.
So you may be asking, okay, but I'm in college and I'm barely making anything to even survive. The habit of budgeting, the habit of creating a budget on a spreadsheet, of using Mint in TurboTax, or using these apps to help you budget, that in itself is very strong and puts you ahead of the game in terms of financial literacy. Because it all starts with your budget. It doesn't matter how much money you make. If you don't know where to allocate the money, it does not matter. You're trying to invest, but you have no money to invest. Why? Because you don't have a budget. You don't say, okay, I'm going to invest this 10% every month. A lot of y'all can't even pay tithes because you don't even understand how much you're spending on other things.
Pay what?
Tithes. For
Tithes,
instance, like it's a biblical principle to give 10% to God. But sometimes people don't even know how much they're spending. So how would they know how much to give? Or in the same vein, investing. I'm going to invest 50% of my income into this stock market ticker, maybe Tesla, right? But you don't even know how much you're spending at the shoe store. You have to have all that down pat. And there's apps to help you. It's not just like you're sitting there writing out every transaction, but really create an allocation of where you're going to spend on food, what you're going to spend on discretionary shopping, what you're going to spend on your essentials. If you have rent in that, rent as well, and have that structured out. There's a good 20, 30, 50 rule that's out there for budgeting. And if you was to get that down pat first, you're already ahead of the game. Most Americans live paycheck to paycheck, even in the real world. You never want to be that person. So first things first is budgeting. Second thing, especially going through college, now you guys are over 18 for the most part, and you have access to credit cards. And these credit card companies, they prey on people that don't have knowledge on the credit card game. So the main thing, especially if you're a first generation immigrant that is going through college, your parents would have told you credit cards are the devil, don't touch them. It's a lie. They have been burned. And we have to understand that it's a game and we have to play the game according to the rules to win the game. So with the credit card, the golden rule is to never spend money you don't have. So when you get a credit card, use it as a debit card. You're not going to spend $300 knowing that you have $200 in your bank account. You're not going to do that because you're going to be wondering, how am I going to pay this? Same with your credit card. Spend only what you know you can spend. And at the same time, realize when you use credit cards, you're building your credit. It should be used as a tool to build your credit. The main way to build your credit is to make payments on time every month and to be spending less than 10% on your credit card. So in doing so, if you're paying your credit card payment every month and you're paying less than 10%, now when I say less than 10%, this does not necessarily mean only spending 10% of your credit card, but there's a closing date and there's a due date for every credit card.
Yeah.
And your closing date is your first month, and then your due date is your second month. That's when the payment is due for that credit card cycle. Make sure you're paying down whatever you spent on the credit card down below 10% before your closing date. So let's say you have a credit card with $1,000 on it. And let's say you spend $500 on it throughout the month. Before January, let's say 29th, you want to pay that $500 down to at least $100 so that when at the closing dates, your credit gets reported, it's reported as 10% usage to the credit bureaus. That's what boosts up your credit score. So make your payments on time, pay it down under 10% each month, and you should be good on that. Rinse and repeat, credit score get over 700. Easy. In college. You don't even need to have a lot of money. So we have the budget, then we have credit cards. And a big thing that I really only found out about my last year of college, because my roommate was actually, he had an internship on Wall Street as an investment banker. Yeah. Booz Allen. Okay. And he actually introduced me to investing principles.
Chinadu, right?
No, this is a different roommate. This is my senior year.
Oh, okay.
And his name was Kyle. And he was telling me about investment principles, and I went to go do my own research, and I realized that I had literally been foregoing money that I could have had for the last 3 years since I've been an adult. So the third thing is investing. The thing about investing is that your money now is going to be worth so much more in the future if you invest it. A lot of times we want to get money and spend it, but if we invest it into something profitable in the future, you can see your money grow exponentially. For instance, if I was to put even $2 into Bitcoin, or let's say Apple back in 2000 or 1999, and you think of how much those $2 would have got me now, Apple stock is astronomical nowadays. Bitcoin's at what, 60,000? 39,000 still. Think about the dividends that could have paid throughout those years, and those $2 is probably worth thousands now. Now think if you did that on a greater scale. Instead of $2, you put in, let's say, $100 a month. Let's say you put in $1,000 a month. Think of that monies in the future. Even 20, 30 years, exponentially, if you guys, those that are algebra nerds, you know those exponential graphs and how they curve upwards. That's us with our money. The caveat is the earlier you start, the more you're going to end up with. But a lot of us don't figure out about investing until it's too late, or until we don't have enough time to let our money grow. I remember I was talking to my aunt about investing literally a year ago, and she was kicking herself over the fact that she didn't learn this stuff when she was my age. So that in her position now, she's in her 60s, she would have been well off. But if we don't make an active effort to even invest when we even maybe making $200 a month, even $2 invested into the stock market a month would pay dividends 10, 20, 30 years down the line. So investing heavy, but that's only with the caveat that you're paid off your debt. A lot of the people that are going to college, you may have student loans. You never want to get into credit card debt ever. Never do it. But if you're spending money you have and not money you don't have, you shouldn't worry about that problem. But paying off your debt always comes before investing. Because if your debt, if you have let's say you have a student loan of $50,000 compounding 7% annually, and instead of paying that off, you decide to invest in an index fund that compounds, let's say 6% annually, you're going to still be losing more money on average because the debt is taking more money out of your pocket. So it's important to pay down your debt as soon as possible so you have the money to put into investments and grow. But again, you can start that at any point, not necessarily when you have the big boy job or the big boy money, but even building that habit when you have only $100 a month, $200 and things of that nature, and to go from there.
I think a lot of people struggle with that, with the self-control and like budgeting and investing, not only because of just knowledge aspect, but because of like a habit aspect.
Yeah,
I think a lot of money issues can stem from personal issues. That's how we see money, how we think, and how we feel when we're around money. Our relationship with money. Some people think it's the root of all evil. Some people think it's all we need to be happy. So what kind of I guess what I'm trying to say is, what kind of internal improvement do we need to implement in order for it to grow our income, I guess, and increase our budgeting knowledge?
That's good. Fruit of the spirit is self-control.
Yeah.
If let's say you're an obsessive eater, or you indulge in a lot of lustful activities because you lack self-control, it's going to be very hard to budget. I'm just keeping it real. It's going to be very hard when you always get hooked on sugar. It's going to be very hard to abstain yourself from spending money on these things that you don't really need. So the first thing, what I did, I remember the discipline with my money really stemmed from my discipline in the gym. So by me hitting the gym consistently and really developing a routine and being structured about a routine and my growth, I realized when I got into the money game, I could use the same principles I learned in the gym to help keep me disciplined with my money. Because, again, if you don't have discipline in other parts of your life, it's going to be hard to be disciplined on this part. So if it's, let's say you're very disciplined in your job, use that discipline and that structure that you create in your job to carry over to your money life as well. Same for the gym. One area of life can and will affect other areas in your life, especially when it comes to self-discipline. There's a reason why Army soldiers, and we're looking at one right now, or former Army soldiers, there's certain routines that they never give up because it's been ingrained in them and it touches every area of their life, from getting up to making your bed, to preparing food at a certain time, to going to sleep at a certain time. All these habits you need in order to even think about how you're going to set up your money life. A lot of the people that don't have money are impulsive spenders, and that comes from lack of self-control. Because even sometimes you may even have a budget, but because you're impulsive, you just violate your budget. So we really have to understand that if we want to win the money game, we have to be disciplined. And sometimes you have to get your discipline from other parts in life. So if you're not already, make a gym routine. If you don't have already, make a prayer schedule. If you don't have already, make sure you're being deliberate about your study time. Because all that stuff is going to have carryover, especially to your money.
It's like practicing the principle of delayed gratification.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we live in a world, in a country that is pushing instant gratification every second of every day. You go on social media and you see the shoes that you was talking about your friend, and you like, dang, how Google know that I wanted the bread 11s?
Yeah.
Now you spend all your bread on the breads.
Yeah.
Tough.
You said the bread 11? You said the bread?
The bread 11s?
Yeah.
The bread 11.
The
He didn't say Jordan, he said bread.
The bread.
Bread 11s. Yeah. Black
That's
and
the
red.
model.
Black and red.
Is it bread 11?
Yeah, black and
bread
red.
11s?
Bread. Anyways, so
Oh wait, that's what it is?
yeah, black and red bread. Yeah.
Okay.
The more you know. The more you know.
Yeah, I'm not a sneakerhead.
I thought he meant like money.
No, they cost money though. Hey, don't give me. Hey, they really cost some money now.
Like a pun, I'm like bread 11.
I'm not the kind of guy that like stays up and like waits till like the minute drops till I order the
Yeah,
shoe.
don't.
Like that's not me.
Yeah, that's not
Okay.
it. That's not it. So, really, in terms of money, it's all about habits. Everything's about habits.
Yeah.
First of all, you need the structure, and you have to have the habits behind that structure in order to successfully have a financially literate viewpoint in terms of managing your own money. Now, I would recommend everybody who's watching this podcast, going to college, in college, to really spend time to learn about money, learn about investing, learn about budgeting. Very important, learn about budgeting, learn about credit cards, learn about different types of loans in the future. Maybe you want to buy a house, learn about real estate, learn about all these things, because you have a superpower being young, and it's called time. The more you waste time on these types of things, the less money that you're going to have in the long run. So it's imperative that we learn these things as we're young, so that our money is working for us and not vice versa.
Yo. Okay. That's kind of nice. But yeah. I think that's all we have for for the brief dive.
Okay.
But yeah. Any last piece of advice? Doesn't even have to be about anything we talked about. Right now is your chance to throw advice out there to the world. What do you have to say?
Don't get hung up on the little things. And I say that to say, recently almost lost my life.
I didn't know that.
Recently almost lost my life, and I lost my car. But it put things in perspective while I was getting stuck up in that Bowie, Maryland parking lot by two goons at gunpoint for my car. I realized that everything I was stressing of, none of it mattered in the face of death. None of it mattered when I was staring at that Glock 19 with an extended clip and a switch in my stomach. I realized what the things I was stressing of at work, over my relationships with people, none of that mattered in that moment. And don't let yourself be facing death to understand that you shouldn't be stressing over the little things. Why I love God so much is because it puts things into perspective of eternity. And I can't see myself now being in this place of asking, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Because when you zoom out, you see the importance of even the struggle. You see the importance of the trials you're being put through right now, because it's all used to mature you and grow you into the person that God made you to be. But if you're going through and you're like, well, why is this happening to me? Oh, I'm so stressed, you're missing the point. The struggle you're going through in your life is supposed to build you up, not diminish you. The struggle you're going through, you're supposed to be using as that metaphorical weight to grow you to be stronger. You know, the problems of this life, they're far and few between. There's a lot of them, but we just grow stronger to meet them. They don't get easier. So we need to focus on not necessarily viewing those problems as problems, but viewing them as growth opportunities.
Yes.
So that we can grow into the men and women that we're supposed to be.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. That deserves a
Thank you.
round of applause.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Senya, thank you so
Yes,
much.
sir.
I appreciate you coming on the show.
Appreciate
It
you.
means a lot to me. It means a lot to them. I think a lot of people could use some of this advice.
It's for y'all at home. Yeah, I see you on the couch eating cookies and chips. It's for you.
There's the thing. It's like when people, majority of the time, if you're watching this video, your feet are not touching the floor.
If he dangling like these, you.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Senya, for coming. It means a lot.
Thank you.
The full audio is going to be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I know a lot of you guys watching aren't even like subscribed. So
what are you doing?
what are
Like,
you
subscribe.
doing?
Like,
Go
right now.
subscribe.
Like, I'm not playing with you. Subscribe right now.
So like when these videos come out, when cool guests like Senya pull up. And yeah, so follow this is going to be a lot. Follow the Instagram page at The Brief Dive, the TikTok page at The Brief Dive, the Snapchat, all caps, The Brief Dive Plus, so you can stay updated on great reels, interesting videos, and upcoming events. So yeah, email me at thebriefdive@gmail.com if there's anything that you'd like to speak to me about one-on-one. And yeah, all of these are linked in the description below. Yeah, but thank you guys for tuning in. Peace out.
Peace.